Well, Chris, great to be with you today. So just for everyone's awareness watching, so we're here today to talk about kind of trends and shifts for customers during this especially unprecedented time, how they can stay nimble and maximize their kind of investment with ServiceNow and other tools to get through it. So my name's Phil Davis. I'm the CEO at Flyform. We're an elite partner serving the UK market, and we're very proud of typically holding kind of one of the highest CSATs in the world. So that's kind of our background.
That's cool. So
Yeah.
Great. Thanks, Phil. So many of you do know me, hopefully. If not, Chris Pope, I run our innovation team here at ServiceNow. And, you know, I'm a big fan of our smaller, let's call it boutique partners.
Yeah.
And obviously Flyform, you know, small but mighty, I think is probably the right phrase, and what you guys get up to. So it's always good to catch up, always good to connect and understand sort of what's going on outside of the big stories, the sort of front page news and the press releases that obviously we make, but also see more of at a local almost and a practitioner level, the work that you guys are up to and what you're seeing and what's going on.
Yeah, great. Yeah, and I really appreciate you taking the time out to speak today. So hopefully we can bring some value to the clients as well. So just going into some of the first stuff to talk about, Chris, what's kind of the biggest changes you've seen in the way the customers kind of work as a result of since the pandemic hit?
Yeah, it's interesting. I actually just got off a press briefing about similar things, which was talking about, you know, we're all working remotely, right? It is what it is, deal with it sort of thing. And I'm beyond that whole concept of the new norm. This is just it, right? This is the way we work. 7 months for me without a flight is crazy. And, you know, you look at my history, but this is just the way we work. And I think what's really been interesting with customers is, you know, often when you see situations around the world with various, you know, crisis or natural events, you know, whatever it may be, it's fairly isolated and, you know, it's bad for that scenario, that situation, that country. And everyone else sort of carries on. Well, this is the same for all of us, right? Never before, you know, this is it. We're all in the same boat together. Things can't stop. And I think what's been really interesting is sort of, you know, the workforce resilience where, yes, there's challenges with, you know, everyone now working from home or wherever it is. And I'm fortunate, I've got my own office at home, and, you know, and the rest of the house is sort of there and I can close my door. That's not the same for everybody. Yeah. So then you have to think about work patterns and the way people work. And, you know, I've got 3 children, people have got whatever, you know, and school and half terms and things. And I think that's the adjustment is that, great, you're no longer commuting and that's time saved, but that doesn't mean it's more time for meetings. I still have my other side of my life to manage, right? Yeah. And I think we've seen that productivity go up and sort of happier employees, if you will, but that doesn't necessarily mean we can put more on them. We need to keep the balance, but at the same time be sort of cognizant, if you will, of their surroundings, their scenarios of what's going on. And given, you know, here we are in the UK and Ireland, Wales has got rules, Scotland's got rules, England's got rules in Northern Ireland, right? We could all, we're essentially separate countries in terms of the rules. Yeah. So I think being aware of that from a customer standpoint, but also knowing their workforce is as distributed, if not more distributed than our own, you know, that's really important.
Yeah, we've been very fortunate because of, and similar to ServiceNow and a lot of the other partners, I guess, that a lot of our workforce was kind of remotely working anyway, even in the UK and Ireland. But, you know, these days, especially in our ecosystem, most people kind of demand it almost now. You know, they want to be based at home and they expect that, especially developers. And a lot of the time our people used to be on client site and then back at home, etc. So for us, it was a very seamless transition from a people perspective, apart from, as you said, though, a lot of people, no offices, a lot of them didn't even have a desk to work on. They were kind of cooped on the sofa or, you know, sat in the bed and stuff. So a lot of people frantically sorting that out. What was interesting was we didn't really realize until the start of the pandemic, we'd never delivered a whole project end to end remotely. So it'd always been as a minimum, you know, those first like 2 to however many weeks of workshops, project kickoffs, face-to-face relationships. And then they'd all kind of drop off remote, and then somebody or people would be popping in every now and again, you know, every week, whatever, catching up. Yep. So, but we've done that. So I think, you know, going straight back to March and April, starting off was doing the whole workshops remotely was, you know, it was a learning curve. We did lots of dry runs internally, and fortunately these days with the tools like ServiceNow and Zoom, we could quickly kind of get set up to do that. But it was definitely a shift for people, and lots of we were quite nervous going into it.
people talk about it, right? The coffee moment, the water
It
cooler
is,
moment, whatever you want to
yeah,
call it. And often that's where a lot of the ideas and the collaboration, like you're doing a workshop, right? During the breaks is often when, hey, we just catch up or talk about something.
yeah,
Oh, and then you come back in, you're like, oh, we just thought about this a little bit differently, that the
yeah,
change of scenario or scenery has triggered a different thought or a different feeling. And you bring that in and you sort of move forward. And I think you're right. That classic, let's call it time and materials sort of
yeah,
approach where consultants on site and all these sort
yeah,
of things, they've got work life as well, they've got home life as well, so the
yeah,
balance of them traveling
yeah,
is key. But I think that's where that flexibility, where you sort of say, well, yes, ServiceNow is in the cloud and it does all these great things and you sort of connect to it and access it from anywhere. That helps massively, so that you can keep costs down when everyone's being cost conscious anyway. But at the same time, if you as the partner can show your flexibility, like, that's okay.
yeah,
We might take a little bit longer doing certain things where we don't have the luxury of being together in a room, but let's plan for that and let's understand that.
yeah.
And you actually end up with a better outcome as a result.
Yeah, definitely has allowed people to be a bit more focused on the outcome. But go back to those coffee conversations, you're absolutely right. And we actually suffered with it internally a little bit for the first couple of months, where the senior management team we were all remote as well. And we kind of felt like things were okay. And they were, things were running well. But then we kind of said, guys, I think we're missing a bit of FaceTime. Let's get into the office for one day. There's only going to be 4 of us in. We can distance, all the kind of, the usual regulations. And it was actually the majority of the benefit that came out of that was when we were sat at our desks outside of the board meeting, just all of a sudden we'd have a conversation and you'd go for 10 minutes, 30 minutes into some topic or challenge or change in the market. And you realized all of a sudden those are the bits we're missing, because we're not going to just jump on Zoom all day long and leave it open while we wait for a conversational matter to come up. It's a little bit more.
It's the sort of structure.
You're in Zoom and then you're off, and it is, yeah. And it's almost too much in that structured side now.
Yeah, we created a bubble. So we've opened our Staines office and we've created a bubble for our team, the innovation team on the 2nd floor.
Great.
And we've gone in and done, some of the stuff we're doing around the digital experience. But also we'll go in and record videos and podcasts and different things very much like this. But actually, we've got a work area set up, again, similar, right? 2 meters between everyone's desks. But someone's just talking about something or makes a comment or asks a question. And like you say, 10 minutes later, you've kind of gone off over there somewhere in a tangent, but you've actually solved a problem when, like you say, someone on the team wouldn't sort of necessarily pick up the phone or say, hey, let's jump on a Zoom, and they suddenly start writing a deck and producing slides and goodness knows what else. Whereas that sort of that off the cuff, almost like a rumble, for want of a better word, you actually get a much better idea and more ideas from the team that, you might not invite everybody to a particular meeting, or everyone might not be available. But if you're all sort of sat around, 4 or 5 of you, and you hear something, you're like, oh yeah, absolutely. I can contribute to that. And that's where a lot of that innovation and ideas come from.
Yeah, absolutely. So have you got any good examples, Chris, of customers, kind of how they stay in kind of nimble or flexible in this time?
Yeah, I think, the real surprising thing, and it was a good thing, I think, was procurement and vendor sort of relationship teams, where, those traditional, more longer drawn out cycles of RFIs and RFPs have been shortcutted in many cases, because they need to make decisions. And it's been good in a way, because, that way they really focus on the value, the partnership, the relationship. And if you're engaged, they've already sort of done their due diligence on the technology, right?
Yeah.
And moving forward. And, many of our customers, as we know, they're existing customers that are doing more with us. All the groundwork's been done. This is accelerating other stuff that, may have not been a priority previously. And I think, that's where that nimbleness has come in, and you really see the value of partnerships and relationships versus that typical sort of supplier vendor situation. And we've seen them as well, where outside of our sort of sphere of influence, if you will, certain customers have come to us and they've spent time with the evangelists and said, hey, we can't be the first to try to figure this out. What are other people doing? Or are they using ServiceNow to do this way? And you'll do like a design workshop, an innovation session, and sort of go with it. And, we do a lot as a team with things like Miro and visual task boards as well. And you just sort of throw all the ideas onto it, and everyone sort of thinks, yeah, no, that's what we're thinking about. That's what it is. let's have a go. What's the worst that can happen? It's worse if we do nothing. At least if we do something and try, we learn, and it might not be exactly the outcome we want, but if we know what we don't want, that's as valuable as well, right?
Absolutely.
And you've seen, certain customers where they've made decisions in 8-9 days that typically would have been 6-8 months, and they're live within 2 or 3 weeks, and you're like, wow, and it's not at the cost of cutting corners or quality, but it's just that everyone's got the same focus. We all know where we're going. Let's go. Let's do it. And
I think that's the thing you said. Focus and focus is that key, isn't it? And then getting rid of that red tape, just hammering through the decision. We got a great example, actually. One of our large public sector customers, and they're actually one of the ones I really love working with, because some can be extremely slow in governance, and some are a little bit more. They're quite forward thinking. This particular agency is very forward thinking. They like to be at the cutting edge wherever possible, or at least aiming that way. But one of the strangest things was, so they had a super successful app in the App Store on Apple. So they did lots of stuff in the UK, which is really good. Yet the service desk was still using no live chat. There was kind of no virtual agent. It was they wanted to pick up the phone. And when the pandemic hit, what was great, it was a great story for us as the partner. It was great for ServiceNow and great for the internal people there to be able to do it. But these people on the service desk were working on desktops, so they weren't on laptops, they were on desktop machines with no mobiles, so they just had the phones in the office. And this agency didn't really have the concept set up of soft phones. They couldn't just reroute these numbers home and stuff onto VoIP. So it was a total right, the office is closing, how do we deliver this service? And the great thing was, they came to us and said, well, can we get this stuff in service now on a little bit more quickly? We were like, well, yeah, we can turn it on right now. So just turning on the live chat for the service desk. So all these people got sent home literally day one. We enabled live chat straight away, and they ported the entire service desk function then through live chat instead of through the phones immediately. Wow. Whilst they got mobiles distributed as well to kind of beef it up. But in the interim, they just deployed the entire service straight onto live chat. And that was only because obviously the platform was already in. They were kind of already had that foundation, and it was a click of a button, a little bit of due diligence on getting it live properly. But it was immediate, and that was really exciting for me to see, because we all go in and we tell the clients what and prospects what you can get from this product, and as you said, a lot of the time it's slowed down by decisions and focus. So it was nice to see, for a change, bang, the technology's there to help you solve this problem, and they were away, and the service is running great. And since then, that same agency now is fast tracked. We've got the virtual agent on. That's being beefed up with a phase 2 right now. So they really, it really has pushed it forward much quicker than we were ever seeing before.
And do you see? It's really interesting, right? That's a real tangible example. Do you see, sort of, we're let's call it the manufacturer, for want of a better word, and you're one of our elite partners. Have you seen sort of the engagement model change with your customers, where they may be coming to you more to be sort of more consultative or more opinion or prescriptive in some regards of, look, we know what the problem is. What's your view? What's your opinion? How can you help us? Yeah,
definitely. And I think it's a combination of both of the two words you just used. It is consultative, but also they're looking for us to be prescriptive on the back of that. So it is very much, and in that case I gave you, they kind of rang and said, we've got to close the office, in the next 2 days. We've got no mobiles, we've got no laptops, and we can't port the phones. What do we do? The first thing was, well, look, we would just live chat step 1. Let's get live chat on, get all your agents quickly trained to show them how to use it, quickly roll out some, content to your end users on, this is what's happening, this is how you get there, this is how you use it. But again, they were looking for us to prescribe that to them and put it in. And on the back of that, it was, well, how can we make this even better while we're doing this? And again, it's us then saying, well, virtual agent, we're looking at predictive intelligence is being turned on as well now. So we're really saying, look, let's grab this kind of bit of momentum and really try and plow through. You're already paying for these benefits. Let's get them in now and really showcase the platform to your senior management and your clients. So it was, definitely, it's been interesting. Lots more of that kind of engagement, and alongside the kind of existing clients, then really pushing fast. It's actually generated some work that's completely net new. So we're talking to another public body right now around the test and trace kind of support. And again, these people are ringing us, and whereas before, as you said, it's, can be lengthy RFPs, procurement processes. They're still following the rules, obviously, but it's we need to start this project in 2 weeks and we need something live in 4. What can you do?
Right.
And how, and again, go back to your point, it's kind of, and how would you do this? What, you know, as the experts, if you had 4 weeks, what would you put in to be safe, but to achieve the goal? So again, for us, very prescriptive, like, look, what does today's process look like? There's spreadsheets, there's this, there's that. And we were like, let's just get out of the box on, let's get the core vital processes in, even if it's incident request day 1, let's get that in. But again, very much a very different engagement model to the usual stuff we're seeing.
And you see, you know, and it's great, those phone calls, those connections, you know, and those type of things. Do you see sort of from I guess the quality of the relationship or the trust side of the relationship, like with your existing customers, has gone up, has grown? And, and those conversations happen quicker versus the more sort of, I need to sound these guys out, and you know, are they who they are, you know?
Definitely, yeah. And I think, you know, we're lucky as some of our, you know, other colleagues in the partner ecosystem that we're highly referenceable now. We've got a good track record, so we can quickly. And we take the approach to our prospects or existing clients. If they want to look for a reference, we just give them the entire client list, and we say, anyone on the list will speak to you.
Pick one.
You pick. And someone will talk to you this week. And we're lucky that, thankful to our existing clients, they've really accommodated to do that. And that kind of helps a bit of that. But it does also, as you say, you get into those deep conversations quickly. You're shaping the solution very quickly for them, and also just being, as we've talked about previously, being very flexible right now. So if they say, look, this is the time we've got, this is the budget we've got, what can we get done? But we have to achieve these 3 outcomes. How do we do it? It's just about us as well, bending around that then. Okay, well, look, we can move these bits in, these bits out, but we can still get you there. I think in terms of the trust and the relationships, it's all going okay. It's strange for me, and probably for you, because you're used to traveling and being in front of people a lot. I enjoy the energy in a room. I like to be in front, you know, next to, even conversations like this, you like to be with a person, you kind of feel that energy, and things are very different. And I think that was, and especially if you imagine the sales team, they're road warriors normally, you know, much like you're a plane warrior. They're out on the road, they're on the road every day, and all of a sudden they've had to adjust to this completely, you know, non-road-based role. And I think they were nervous at first. I think they were worried it would affect how the business went. You know, they were, could they still sell the same way and build the same relationship? But I think once people got over the initial, like, we were used to it, much like you were. We're doing Zooms all day, every day, but a lot of businesses weren't, and especially a lot of our public sector clients. You know, lots of, in the first few weeks, no cameras were on, and people didn't really know what to do and getting the software set up. But once we got over that hurdle, I think that people have quickly adjusted to that, and it has become a new way to build that rapport. And you know, I still look forward to getting in with everyone and meeting these people as well. But it's definitely, I think it's as you said, there's benefits to it, which is for a lot of people who do have children or busy lives and other stuff, it means in the future they might not have to drive 3 hours across the country for a 1 hour meeting, which we've all done. We can say, do you want to do this on Zoom instead this time? You know, and depending on the type of meeting, that can be feasible. And I think that brings its own benefits and pluses as well.
Absolutely. It's interesting. We were just on this press call that I just did, you know, we did this survey a couple of weeks ago, and it sort of talked about, you know, the future of work, or the work survey, and you know, the difference between managers and employees and things like that. And one of the really interesting questions that came out of it was, you know, if a second wave or a second lockdown was to occur, how do you sort of go again? Right, you know, we were coming down the hill, right?
I know,
going back up the hill, right? You know, how do you motivate people? How do you know, think about that? Do your plans change? Do they not? And what does that look like? You know, and it was sort of, they were directly asking me about our innovation team and what we do, and you know, what have we done, or what have I done as a leader, if you will, to try to help with some of those scenarios and situations. And that's everything from, you know, doubling up on one-on-ones, weekly, you know, sort of regional meetings with the team, but not about work.
Okay.
Just catching up, checking in. If you want to do it, we can do it. If you just want to do a regular phone call, we can do a regular phone call. You know, if you want to do it while you're walking the dog, walk the dog. That's absolutely fine. You know, and I think, you know, that it's interesting, like you say, how people stay nimble and pivot to deliver some of these projects. You know, it's having that other time available, as well as, look, you know, we all monitor our children's screen time, right, on their phones and devices and Xboxes and God knows what. Who's monitoring ours? Right? How long do we sit in front of blooming Zooms all day long, right? No one's looking at that really in that sense. So it'd be interesting, you know, from that view, you know, as the CEO of Flyform, if you are, how are you finding that interaction with your teams and then obviously clients as well?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I think we've probably been if I was being very holding integrity to myself, I think we've been far better internally. So our focus immediately shifted to how is our staff's mental health? How are people holding up? Because we've got a very, very people-based culture. So we typically, we've got the headquarters in Cardiff where there's a core of people, but literally every week there'll be different people visiting the office. And typically once a month, like 3/4 of the staff will come down. There's kind of, we do a Thursday lunch out normally, which we pay for. So everyone goes for lunch together. And once a month we do an actual night out. So we'll do go-karting, laser tag, and obviously everyone hits the beers and stuff. So even just missing out on all those interactions. And we're very, very open in Flyform about things like anxiety, mental health, being stuck in the house on your own. So we shifted immediately to that. And the things we started off with kind of a daily, just like an open Zoom, like come and have I think we call it like the daily coffee break or whatever. And everyone was jumping on for a bit of that. And then obviously the one-to-ones and all those things got stepped up. The daily coffee things were fun at first, but they seemed to fizzle out. People kind of, it's because again, it doesn't have the same energy interaction. You kind of do it for a little while.
Hard to maintain it. Yeah.
It is, yeah. And people just kind of, different people dropping on and off different days. We've just started something new about 4 or 5 weeks ago now, where we've got these little 10-minute one-on-one check-ins, but it's with a random pairing. So basically we've asked everybody to opt in who wants to do it. And then it's basically each week is kind of randomized. Someone gets paired with someone else. I do it as well. And then it says 10 minutes. Most of us end up 20, 30 minutes on the phone, but it's just, it's that conversation. It's how you're holding up, what's going on in your life. And it might be talking about someone's, divorce or the baby's up all night or just whatever's going on with them. But because it's filling that gap of those little conversations across the desk that we are missing. So that's kind of been internally. I think the clients and even our partnerships, with ServiceNow, they probably suffered a little more because that almost, where I talked earlier about too much structure, it became very much, those Zooms were mainly around, okay, let's talk about this sales activity or let's talk about this new product line, as opposed to let's jump on and have a catch up and see how things are. And we, people naturally tend to utilize a little bit of that time for that. But I think we've recently been talking again the past few weeks about, who do we need to be catching up with and on those casual conversations, and let's try and make those a little bit more, booked in and structured. But going back to the point about it's Zoom fatigue, you've got to watch them. Lots of people at the start were booking these back-to-back meetings, hour to hour to hour. And you're fried at the end, a couple of hours, you kind of come off, you sore eyes. And so again, we've started telling people now, leave a 15-minute gap between meetings, leave 10 minutes, get up, stretch your legs, grab a coffee, no matter who we talk to. So it's been a really, but it's been interesting going through that and watching that learning curve as well. And talking about that sentiment of uphill, downhill. At first, everyone was kind of a little bit off they were at home. Then everyone's kind of like, hey, I really like it being at home. I've got all this time. Then everyone's gone the other way. We're all Zoom fatigued and we haven't seen anyone. And just watching those little nuances as we keep unfolding as we go. I think winter's going to be a challenging time for people, is my view at the moment. I think it was easy when everyone could go in the garden all day in the sunshine and get a bit of an extra tan or walk. But when we're going to be stuck in the dark and the rain for the next few months, I think we're going to need even more stuff to keep us going. So we've introduced some yoga sessions, like live yoga and things like that.
Cool.
Meditations. Yeah, we've got someone come on to do it as a company and try to jump people in there just to keep them pepped up. So
that's awesome. Yeah, I think it's similar, right? We do the bi-weekly quiz across all of EMEA.
Yeah, cool.
And got to say, innovation teams won it 3 times.
No way.
The downside of it is, whoever the manager or leader of that team is, we've got to pay for dinner for every member of your team. And some of my team have got 3 kids and goodness knows what else, and so it's been quite expensive at the best of times. But that's okay. That's a good thing to do. It's interesting how different people react and respond. And I think now that we're in the end of the year, like you say, the clocks have changed and all those sort of things. And we were just saying earlier, right? Q4 is a big thing for all of us. What are you guys gearing up for the rest of the year, knowing everything that's going on around us, and hopefully there's this bright light of January the 1st, 2021, and what that looks like. But some of the activities you guys are up to over the next couple of months.
Yeah, so to be honest, lots of planning, and for us that kind of looks like very much now, we're going from this company that's kind of 50 people in size right now, looking to be more like 100 this time next year, toward the end of next year. And it's kind of, for us, is a lot of that strategic planning. We've really capitalized, to be honest, on the pandemic, and I mean that in a way of it was a case of, okay, well, things are slowing down, and they did. Lots of stuff shifted right. There were lots of our clients that were in sectors that got hit. So, retail, construction, travel, who had to move projects out. So we were kind of, well, how do we make the best of this time? And as lots of organizations need to, we looked at the back office. So let's look at our processes, let's look at our structure, how we're redeploying our own ServiceNow instance internally, which we use to serve
out
our
of the box,
customers.
of course.
Exactly, yeah. Rather than a few years ago where we kind of got it in a hurry. So how do we smarten this up now and get better MI out of it? So for us, it was a lot of work on how do we make this run a lot slicker, so we can deliver even more value to our customers when this stuff picks back up quickly.
Yep.
What we did see was there were a couple of months where things slowed down, but they've very much picked back up in the past 3, I would say, and we're still seeing that happening. So again, for us, it's okay. What does next year look like? Which product lines are we in? Are we in the right product lines? Are we in them deep enough? Is our knowledge good enough? How do we get even smarter? I think the biggest, or not the biggest, but one of the big challenges with ServiceNow is probably thanks to you actually, is it's such a growing platform all the time. It's growing wide, and at the same time, each vertical part of the product line is getting deeper and deeper and deeper, and the feature sets are getting richer, and the domain expertise in some of those is getting more and more niche. So I, like yourself, I've been in this ecosystem since 2008, and back then it was just kind of the basic incident change type modules. You could know it all and be an expert in the whole platform and build whatever you wanted. Whereas now with all the various, the GRC, the SecOps, ITSM, and then Pro, and then even within ITSM, VA, predictive intelligence, all these different bits.
There's a lot.
Every module goes the same way. So I think for us now is kind of how do we get a little bit more specialized capability internally? So, our CSM practice, specifically the ITOM practice, is kind of formalizing those. So we're having these kind of virtual units within Flyform now where they'll become the leaders of those particular product lines, just to make sure we are keeping up to the cutting edge. And when we do go into a client, we're still the expert. We know this stuff inside out. We know the best practices. We're architecting it right. That's kind of a lot of the business side. On the other side of that, it's our marketing campaigns and our sales campaigns. So how do we work more closely with you guys? We just did Now at Work, which was great as always. We've got some webinars coming up with some of the guys from the business units and the other bits and pieces. So how do we keep getting that message out there and keep getting more clients onto this great product, really, and helping them transform their businesses? And there's some great stats actually I've got written down here. Things like Fortune magazine and Deloitte survey reported 77% of CEOs worldwide have accelerated their digital transformation plan. The areas after crisis for most investment reported as infrastructure, platforms, and innovation. 40%, 36% for those. And then a Twilio survey said that 96% of UK enterprise decision makers noted that the pandemic sped up their digital transformation plans. So again, we know that now the kind of verticals, if you like, that are surviving/thriving, as we talked about, they're actually going harder. They go faster, much like the public sector we talked about. These guys now all of a sudden like, wow, everything we've been doing and maybe dragging our feet over here on is not going to get us through the next, as you talk about, this next wave. And we don't really know if that will end, when it will end. And also, we never really know what's around the corner in this world, do we? 6 months, 8, 10 months ago, none of us were thinking this was going to happen this year. So I think a lot of companies have realized they need to be prepared. So for us, it's kind of, how can we be best prepared to serve those in the best way? How can we be a great partner? And how can we keep looking after our people, really, which is the typical top of our list.
Yeah, this is going to sound pretty wrong, but it would be nice to get talking about Brexit again.
God, there's so many things that just dropped off the radar when this has come along, isn't it?
Crazy it is. And and those monthly calls with your team and your org, maybe at one of them you can invite one of us. We'll come and talk and
absolutely
do an open Q&A and see where people talk and what their questions are, right, and what they want to know, and get some insights. But no, this has been great.
Thanks a lot, Chris. It's really enjoyed the conversation. You too.
And we'll get more done, and we'll get this out there, and we'll talk to the Flyform guys in the near future.
Great.
Sounds good.
And where can people? Where's the best place to follow you, Chris? If people want to hear more, is Twitter your biggest? I know you're pretty active on there.
I would go Twitter and LinkedIn. They seem to be the two. Someone was talking about TikTok videos the other day.
Oh, cool.
That ain't happening. That is not happening.
You've got to be pretty committed to those because they're a bit of setup,
Exactly.
isn't there, and a bit of practice and stuff. We like
Yeah.
that stuff. We do some fun stuff on our Instagram channel. We keep Instagram in Flyform for kind of the culture side, so some of the go-kart and the bowling stuff, and obviously LinkedIn and Twitter.
That's cool.
The more proper stuff. And we've messed around with some TikToks and things before. We've got some quite funny stuff in the pipeline for Christmas that's going to come to you guys and some others. So I'll keep you aware of that when it comes over as well. Yes,
That's great. So. Thanks for catching up, Phil. Appreciate
Wonderful.
it.
Thanks a lot, Chris. Have a great day.
Soon.